Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to this edition of Drive Time on this Monday, March 2nd. It's just crazy. We're already in March. How time flies every time on the calendar. Actually got a decent day outside. It's sunny and 40, which we'll take here in lovely Ohio. I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Showtime Sarah Scooter is off today. We gave him the day off. So, Showtime, how you doing?
I'm good. Like you said, already March. My birthday, my 22nd birthday's in 3 days. I'm
That's
counting
right.
down.
I'm sure
See,
you
you're
have a
talking
lot.
about time goes by. Doesn't
I
time go
know.
by?
Yeah. You turn 22 and Teddy turns 3 months. It's like
Okay. Well.
crazy. It's like crazy how time does fly. So, but anyway, welcome to the show. As always, we love having you on here. You can watch our shows live on YouTube, Facebook, and X, of course, and now 24/7 on YouTube. You can listen to us the next day on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pocket Cast, Podbean, and Castbox. So we are everywhere for you to be able to enjoy. And like I always like to say, you can always, drive and listen to drive time while you're driving. It's kind of cool. So, with that being said, let's get into it. We do have a busy show here. We will get into our special part of the show will be in the second half of the show where we get into how gambling is affecting today's sports. So, get into that here in a little bit. But we do have a little bit of other sports news here to follow. And of course, unfortunately, sounds we start these shows a lot with these rest in peace. But Jim Boomer Gordon, who is a serious radio host on the NHL Network, he hosted a show called The Point. He's been doing it. He's died only 55, of course, of cancer. Has been on the network since basically the network started with its NHL network programming. Always liked him because he would call it like you see it. You couldn't really tell if he what his favorite team was on the air because he would just be straight out and honest about what he saw, but it was also very good at it. Like he was a very, very good host, someone who I try to, as I do the show, I try to emulate what he did on his show of just bringing you the facts and trying to keep personal opinions out of it. And for the most part, I think he did a good job of that too. So just a quick rest in peace for him. And Sarah, I know you had one from last week that we didn't do on the show, but if you want to take a couple seconds for your man, you can do that.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think everybody's obviously already heard about it. It was actor Eric Dane. I am still obsessed with Grey's Anatomy, even though I've not even watched the whole like 22 seasons that they had. But just like a quick rest in peace to him. Obviously, it's been some time. And just a huge mention to ALS. It's a terrible disease, no cure. So, I think it definitely brings some unfortunate awareness to the disease, and just kind of like pray for the family and everything and anybody who knew him as well. Freaking talking about actors, Catherine O'Hara getting the award, and just it made me sad seeing Seth Rogen accepted in her honor.
Yeah, I did not see that, but I heard about it, and it does sound like that would be something that would have gotten me because you know me, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff anyway. So, um, but yeah, so it's I just wish we were, and I know there was I didn't even write down his name. I should have the young quarterback for Colorado that got killed in a car accident this week too. But I'm sure the guys will break that down and give their thoughts on that one tomorrow. It happened later, and I was doing my prep and I forgot him on here, so I'll give that quick little shout out. I'm sure I can find his name, but um, yeah, it's just sad that we have to start these shows all the time with this kind of stuff. So. But after that, let's go ahead here and do our quick little pit stop. Just some quick news and notes here. Miami of Ohio is now 29-0, and it's just weird. Like I keep seeing people say they still have to win the tournament or they're not going to get in. Like stop it. They got two more regular season games against Toledo and OU. Now OU could give them trouble because they haven't won in OU in a while. But if they go 31-0. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't care what happens to them in the MAC tournament. They deserve to be in. You don't, they just do. And Bruce Pearl's out there saying, oh, they don't win, then, and he's vying for his son who's coaching at Auburn because he wants his son's team to get in. Like, stop it. Like, if Miami of Ohio loses to a good Akron team in the MAC final, they deserve to be in the tournament. The MAC deserves two schools. But we'll see if it happens or not. I'm not optimistic that they'll do the right thing, but maybe my Ohio just runs the table and it doesn't matter. The UConn women. So for Sarah, she knows this with our good old neighbor Ken. You just go UConn, and you're supposed to say Huskies, right? Remember, UConn
Huskies.
There you go. See, so that's for Ken if he's listening. 31-0. They complete their undefeated regular season. They are at 47 straight wins. It's tied for the fifth longest mark. Of course, they have. I think the first three are theirs too. So they got a long way to go to beat their own record. But a shout out to them for just another incredible regular season as well. Any thoughts on either of those two, Miami or the ladies?
Oh, I mean, Miami, that's insane for the MAC. How's your Kent doing though?
They're not bad. They're third, I mean, but they're it's to me, it's Miami of Ohio, Akron, Kent would be the B level in that turn in the MAC, and then you kind of got everybody else this year. Oh,
Mm,
having a little bit of a down year. Toledo's having a little bit of a down year. So Kent's clearly the third best team. I don't. They'll probably get. They should get into the semis where they should lose probably to Akron because they played Akron twice this year and both games have not been good. So
mhm.
I would be shocked if they somehow win that. I mean, Miami and Akron are clearly the two best teams in the MAC this year.
Gotcha.
So your boy Tyler Reddick wins his third straight NASCAR race to start the season. And with the crazy stat is this is the first driver in NASCAR history to win the first three races of the season. So shout out to Tyler Reddick. Did you see this one at all, Sarah?
Yeah, so I watched the entire thing. Just to kind of give it a breakdown. So this is a road course. Not typically obviously NASCAR style, but they still have it. So stage one, you wouldn't have been able to tell that it was going to go the way it goes. But Tyler Reddick just again has had an amazing start to the season. The 23-11 team has just had a crazy start. Michael Jordan now having three wins under his name, especially after the lawsuit that they had back in December. And even during the off season, Tyler Reddick, he and his newborn son was having some issues. So just a crazy blessing to them, I would say. But stage one, not even Tyler Reddick was like top five, I think. But you had Ross Chastain. Then it was also Shane Van Gertsen's, which if you don't know, he's an Aussie. And anytime a road course is there, his name is right there with it. He was he would have been on a record to have 6 straight road courses, which would have taken over Jeff Gordon. I know you don't know these names, but they're big NASCAR names.
I know
Okay.
Jeff Gordon. I know Jeff Gordon.
Okay. I'm just making sure. So it would have taken over Jeff Gordon. So like that's how kind of big it was. And then you also had Michael McDowell. So just like a little bit of the veterans up there. But stage two, I don't even like it was. Oh no, it was Ty Gibbs, and then you had AJ Allmendinger, and then Daniel Suarez in the 7. Just a very random stage 2 win, but stage 3, Tyler Reddick just took it away. Just an absolutely incredible race. Nobody else really stood a chance. SVG, he was trying, but just couldn't get there. Tyler Reddick has had an amazing car, just an amazing team this season. So definitely excited for, I believe it's Phoenix next week. So we'll see if he goes for 4 straight. That would be absolutely insane. But I'm kind of happy that he broke the record, but now I'm just like, okay, let somebody else win now, you know.
How long can he go? That's the fun part of it.
Exactly, yeah.
All right. And then there were some NFL trades today, both of them involving the Houston Texans. Which is this, both of these trades, one of them I think is okay for them. It's just interesting that they traded away offensive line because 2 years ago when Houston was terrible is because their offensive line was so bad. This year their offensive line was better, and what do you know? They made it to the playoffs. But Houston trades away Titus Howard to Cleveland for a 5th-round pick, and then Cleveland turned right around, got him signed up on a long-term deal. So I think that's a really good trade for the Browns to add to their offensive line because they needed help there. And then they go out and they trade for running back David Montgomery from the Detroit Lions for another offensive lineman, Juice Scruggs, and 2 later picks. So they gave away another offensive lineman to Detroit who does need offensive line help. I think, this obviously clears the road if you're a Detroit fan for Jahmyr Gibbs. And if you're a fantasy football owner of either one of these 2 running backs and you have them in a keeper league, you absolutely love this deal because you now no longer have the 2-headed running back of David Montgomery and Gibbs in the backfield to worry about because Montgomery is likely going to be clearly the number 1 in Houston. Gibbs is now clearly going to be the number 1 in Detroit. So if you have any one of these 2 guys on your fantasy team, you are loving this trade news today for sure. from the football field side, I think it's a good deal for Houston as far as adding a running back. That's kind of their one position that they did okay last year, but they could definitely use an upgrade, and they did that. Any thoughts on either of the two trades?
Um, I saw the one with where the Lions traded what was it, Jameer?
No, they traded Montgomery.
Yeah, Montgomery. Where they traded him to the Texas, and I saw like a lot of people were shocked by it. Obviously Lions didn't have like the season that they wanted to, so I think they're just trying to make some moves to really do better next season. And the Texans, they did okay, obviously, but they're trying to improve themselves too. So the moves make sense. I don't really know how the Lions go from here though, especially with the draft coming up. If they are just going to select what was it? He was a running back, right? He's a running back, right?
Correct.
If they try to pick up a running back in the draft or what really they're viewing, but it'll be interesting to see what they do next.
Yeah, I don't know if Detroit will, because I think they have Gibbs. I mean, they
Yeah,
might add a late round guy, because you need two running backs anymore in the NFL, but or they may have someone else. I haven't looked too deeply at their
I
roster,
haven't either. Yeah,
but
all
like I
I
said,
know
it's
is Fernando Mendoza.
right. Well, we'll see if the Raiders still don't screw that up yet. So we'll see on that part. So, all right. So that's it for the quick news and notes. We're going to take this quick little break, and then we're going to get into some quick drive the net and some NHL news, and then we'll get into our gambling stuff. So we'll be right back after this. All right, there we have it. So with that being said, let's get into a quick Olympic road trip. There's not really, I mean, the Olympics are obviously well done, but since before the last show, the ratings came out from the hockey game, and this will lead right into the drive to the net. The women's game drew 8.7 million on USA Network and Peacock during the overtime. And again, remember, this was in middle of the afternoon. That was right around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The men's game had 25.7 during the overtime, which again was at 11 a.m. in the morning, and had 18 million that started the day watching the game. It's the most watched hockey game since the 2010 gold medal game. It was the most watched women's game, and you are seeing the boost that the Olympics can give the NHL and PWHL in full force already. We'll get into some of those numbers when we get into the NHL segment. But very happy with these numbers and to see them. Sarah, I assume you are too, being a hockey fan.
Yeah, of course. I mean, especially on the women's side, I just feel like it's way more important and not to be like anything crazy, but they have had more gold medal experience more so than the men. So I think a lot of people are starting to not like note maybe I don't know if notice is the correct word, but fully appreciate or just understand how talented the women players are compared to the men as well.
Agree. Yep. It's and this kind of leads right into this first subject here. The PWHL had three cities this weekend with sellouts. Seattle sold out theirs for the largest crowd now, and that keeps changing as they go to different as they keep going to different arenas in their takeover tour. They've had them. But Seattle's home game against this last weekend for the tour was a sellout, and they sold out Climate Pledge Arena, which is where the Kraken play. So that's a big news deal. New York and Boston also had sold out. New York doesn't play in Madison Square Garden; they play one of the smaller ones. So that wasn't that big of a deal. But Boston did sell out the Garden Center too, or whatever the heck, whoever one that they're going with there. But the big boys where the Bruins play. So huge numbers for the PWHL as far as attendance goes. Well, game watching, it's hard to tell because so much of their games are only available through YouTube in the US. So, but supposedly they're seeing up clicks in that too. So it's good news on the ladies' side for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And then on the men's side, we did have our first coach firing. It is Jim Hiller. He was only in his second year. They've named DJ Smith their interim head coach. Not really a surprise here either. The Kings have been kind of floating on the bubble of the playoffs. They just made a trade for Panarin. They've got a couple guys that got hurt in the Olympics, which is probably not going to help their cause either. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know that the coaching move is going to help LA. There's a lot of teams in that mix. I still think they can get in. We'll see what they do, if they add anything else at the trade deadline now or not. But that he is officially the first coach fired this year.
Wasn't Columbus's coach fired?
Oh, you're right. Never mind. Second coach fired. Thank you. I forgot about that. I forgot Rick was there. So second coach fired.
Yes, yes.
I don't know why I blanked on Columbus, but yeah. So another coach bites the dust.
Yeah. I mean, this one is kind of like shocking to me. I don't think LA's having a necessarily bad season. I mean, they were up in the rank. They were up in like the top 3 in the Pacific earlier. I mean, they only stand 3 points out of the wild card, which with how the Western Conference is even going in the first place, that is just a toss up between anybody. Um, in that sense. But I mean, hey, they're trying to make moves. They've already clearly done it with the Panarin trade. So I mean, you got to do what you got to do. So if this is what they think they got to do, then hell, we'll see how it goes. I definitely think, though, they should definitely make some more moves for the trade deadline. I think that's their number one concern, especially if they're having injured guys coming off from the Olympic roster. If you need talent on there, you got to work for it, especially since we're getting into the crunch before playoffs.
Yeah, there's so many teams that are in such interesting positions in the standings right now. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how many. We talk about doing our show on Friday, which will be a special show for the trade deadline, but we'll see who all even gets moved. The hottest team coming out into the break, one of them, and still remaining hot, as they won the first 2 games, are the Carolina Hurricanes. They are on a 10-0-2 run, so they've gotten a point in 12 straight games. Their lead in the Metropolitan is now up to 7 points over Pittsburgh and the Islanders, so getting a little bit more of a comfortable spot there. But they just can continue to roll. This is another team that will be interested to see if they make moves before Friday. There's a lot of rumors of Vincent Trocheck might be coming back to Carolina, so we'll see. But the Hurricanes, which not that we're biased on this, but they are the hottest team in the NHL right now as far as the records go. So that's why we're reporting it, even though we're both Canes fans.
Yeah, although don't let the standing completely fool you. We like giving they like giving us a heart attack, to put it at
Yes.
best. They like being up 3-0 and then choking the lead and then somehow miraculously winning the game in the end. Which, I mean, a win's a win. That's all you got to matter about. But it takes a roller coaster of emotions to even get there in the first place. So that's I hope we kind of get that figured out before the playoffs, because I don't think that's gonna stick very well for us. But
I agree.
hey, at least we're winning number one in the Metro, and in the Eastern Conference overall.
Yep. And we did have one small trade last week. That at least small, but not. It's two guys trading defensemen. The Pens get Sam Girard and a second round pick from Colorado for Brett Kulik. Girard's got a year left on his deal. He's a little bit older and he has the minutes. He wasn't getting quite the time that he did get used to getting in Colorado. So Colorado trades him. They get Kulak, who is a straight third line D, which is kind of what Girard was playing in Colorado. So they shred about $2 million in salary. And anytime you see a team that's shredding salary, you kind of wonder, okay, what's going to be the next part of this deal? And I think this means that you're going to see Colorado make a move for somebody before we get to Friday. For the Pens, they had a guy with another year left, a little bit younger. He's going to be he's going to probably be the second pair D in Pittsburgh right now. So we'll see. I think this one of these trades that could actually make sense for both teams and may not be a true winner or loser. What do you think?
I mean, I think it's just a decent trade. Well, I mean, Colorado is Colorado. They're doing great, so I don't really know how much can impact them right now with the trend they're going on. And then Pittsburgh is sitting comfortably at number 2 in the Metro, so I think they are just trying to make sure that their roster is good going into the playoffs, assuming that they don't do anything with that. But it's a move. I don't hate it. I don't like it. I'm neutral with it.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think it should be okay. And this is kind of a minor one. Minnesota adds Roman Schmidt from Philly. Another, that they're adding some help on the back end of this deal. It's just Minnesota's just fortifying a couple spots. So not this one's not really the big news either. So, but it was a trade that happened recently, so we thought at least throw it in there.
Right.
All right. So, again, we mentioned this before. Trade deadline's Friday. Some names that I've been hearing that you could see go is Vincent Trocheck from the Rangers, Nassim Kaderi in Calgary, Robert Thomas, Justin Falk in St. Louis. There's even been some Craig Binnington name, thrown there. We'll see what St. Louis does though, because St. Louis is another one of these teams. Like they're not that far out of it. I don't know if they bail or not. Like I mean, well, they're getting there. They are, I guess. Now I look at it, they've fallen back off. They are 12 off. So maybe St. Louis does make those deals. But like Nashville's been rumored to be looking at Steven Stamkos and Ryan O'Reilly, and Nashville's only 3 points out of the playoffs. So I don't know if Nashville throws in the towel or not. You have Evander Kane, Tyler Myers, and Elias Peterson in Vancouver. All those I think could be moved. You have Dougie Hamilton in New Jersey, a solid defenseman, because New Jersey definitely seems like they're going to be out of it. So these are just some of the names that we've heard, that could go before Friday, but we'll see. What do you think? You think we're going to have a heavy deadline, or are people going to hold on to assets to see what happens?
I would definitely think like a lot of the wild card running teams would make a move. I could see Washington trying to do something. Also just like more so like the Atlantic teams, I would say, trying to make something like Boston and Montreal. They both sit in the and thing. I could see them trying to do something. Carolina, I think they always try to add a little bit more. Sometimes you don't really think they're going to do much, and then they actually end up getting a pretty decent ad for it, not losing much either. So it'll be interesting to see how we pull away from that. Um, I I don't know if they're going to do anything, but I think the Pacific needs to do something. Like compared in the standings, you have number one in the Pacific, Vegas at 70 points. Literally all three of the Central overtake that. And that's just not going to stick in the standing or in the playoffs. It's not, nothing's going to happen. Good for them at least. So I would hope that Vegas, Anaheim, and Edmonton are kind of looking at places they can add on. I could definitely see Anaheim making some moves. I mean, they already did a lot of extra signings during the off season, so I think the trade deadline will also help them kind of accomplish that to see what they're truly missing. So I would say Anaheim is also a good contender.
Yeah, I think another team I would add to this as the interesting one to watch is going to be Florida. Um,
Oh,
they're
right, yeah.
they're they're sitting 8 points out right now, and they've got four teams to jump ahead of. That's a really tall order in 20 games. They came out of the break and they've won a couple, lost a couple. So I don't know what Florida's going to do. Zito's got the ability to make moves, but does he maybe sell this year, realizing, hey, we've had three Stanley Cup runs.
I know.
It's really hard to do this, but at the same time, they are the defending Cup champs. I'm sure he wants to not be one of the teams that goes from Cup champ to not making the playoffs. So I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what Florida does. That's going to be an interesting team to watch for me. Washington's another interesting team
That's
because they're still kind of in this what do we do with Ovi thing, and they're only 2 points out of the playoff spot now because they've gotten off to a
oh,
really good start since the break. So we'll see. And Toronto's none of these teams that are 8 points out. Do they trade? Do they think that they're done? Like they've got some guys that maybe are on the back end of contracts too that I could see them getting rid of. So those are the teams that I don't know if they're sellers or buyers, and I don't know if they know if they're sellers or buyers. Um, Winnipeg's another team they're now 9 back. What do they make some moves? So it will be interesting to see who, if anyone, gets dealt by Friday.
um, talking about Toronto, did you see that they booed Austin Matthews
Well,
in
I
when
did.
they were going over?
I'm not surprised. I mean, Austin Matthews does not have a history of performing well for them in the playoffs and bigger games, and he had some big moments for the U.S. Olympic team, and it's the U.S. Olympic team. So no, I'm not surprised that Toronto fans booed him for winning the gold. You know, but it is what it is in Toronto. That's what's going to happen for sure. So.
Right.
All right, so that's all I got on the anything else you want to hit on real quick, Sarah?
Um, did you want to touch on the SNL skit that they had, where they brought out the Hughes
Oh yeah,
brothers?
go
And
ahead. I
then,
forgot. I forgot about that. Go for it.
so SNL, I don't know if you guys saw it. Obviously their main host was Connor Story, which, if you don't know, is from a TV show, Heated Rivalry. I'm not going to explain it because it's not PG-13. But I love it personally, but I can't go into it. But it's a great show, and it does bring people into hockey and helps kind of give highlight to um not your typical stereotype hockey players. So if you'll have to like look at what it's about before I suggest for you to go watch it. But if you think you're into it once you find it, then you should go watch it. It's a great show. But they had Connor Story, and he brought out the U.S. Quinn Hughes and Jack Hughes, the Hugh brothers, and talked about them for a little bit. Just funny little monologue kind of stuff. And then they brought out Megan Keller and, oh my god, the other one's clicking on me.
Hillary Knight.
Hillary Knight, yeah. Megan Keller and Hillary Knight. And I will say they had a fun bit where they said that they wanted to invite them into. It was a very great bit. If you know, you know. I won't get into it because that could get me on a rant too. But just a really nice appreciation for the U.S. men's and women's hockey team. So just a little kudos to SNL and for bringing them out and having them do a bit on that.
Yeah, and I think it also should be noted that the two ladies got way louder of an ovation than the
Yes,
Hughes
yes, they
brothers.
did.
So, and yeah, I think that definitely needs to be pointed out, and it was well deserved. So yeah, it was definitely a good job done by SNL for sure, getting them that recognition that they deserved.
Yes.
All right. Anything else you want to cover, Sarah, before
Ooh,
we get into the gambling stuff?
March Madness is coming up, but the other guys that they'll get that covered, I'm sure.
Yep. Oh, here you go. Does your NC State Wolfpack beat Duke tonight?
I'm so scared. I want to. I want that to happen for obviously educational purposes. Um, Men's basketball isn't doing great though. I'm like we're good, but we're not. I don't think we're gonna. I don't think we're gonna make it into the brackets. There's just so much better competition going on in the ACC. Women's, I think they'll get it. They'll get in. They always do. The women's is typically better than the men's. Um, See, NC State lost to Virginia a couple days ago, so that just kind of makes me worried of like, okay, if we lost to a contender like Virginia, how are we going to do against Duke? Doesn't give me much hope. So, just to not get my hopes up, I'm going to say that we're not going to win. But if we do win, you're not going to hear me shut up about it. So,
Fair enough. I like that for sure. So, all right, are you going to hang around for the gambling part, or are you going to bid adieu?
I got some schoolwork to do, but I'll listen and give my comments if I do know anything about the topics.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll let you get to your schoolwork. Showtime. We'll see you on a later show for sure. I'm going to hit this commercial break real quick, and then we come back. We're going to get into a feature segment for this show of Is Gambling Ruining Sports? And we will be right back. All right, folks. So that was Showtime, Sarah. We thank her for her contributions on the show as always. So I got this idea from, and it honestly started when it affected one of my teams, which was the Cleveland Guardians with Luis Ortiz, and then later on Emmanuel Clase. Both were suspended indefinitely for what appeared to be tipping or throwing a first pitch on account that were clearly going to be balls for a certain prop bet that were out there of the first pitch of the inning being a ball or strike. So that is where this all came from. Just real quickly, I want to put in this comment, put in your comment about this subject. And then I'm going to put this tracker up here, and then we'll get going here. So that's kind of where we started at, where I at least started at with this idea of why is this important to me? Because it affected one of my team. I mean, it's still kind of interesting to me that the Cleveland Guardians still have to have these two guys on the payroll, and nothing has been finalized yet on the Major League Baseball side of it. Meanwhile, they were able to complete a an investigation on Shohei Ohtani and his interpreter in like a week's time. So the timeline of those two things is always baffling to me too. But so that's kind of where I got the idea for. So I think though it's important though before we even get into that, we have to get into the history of it because like we know now, right? You can't start a sporting event without seeing ads everywhere for you pick your one, DraftKings, whoever, FanDuel. Hell, FanDuel runs, some of the regional sports networks. Well, they're running them to the ground, but that's a whole different subject line too. But I think to me, part of the thing that I liked the most of the Olympics was the fact that there was none of that. Like you didn't have any FanDuel ads on anything. There was no lines on anything. I'm sure there were betting out there for the games, but you didn't have the ads. It wasn't on the boards. It wasn't on the ice. Not a single ad. It was beautiful. I loved it. Just the sports. But now, you can't go anywhere without seeing an ad for somebody for doing that. So, watch your next sporting event and even, see if you make it to puck drop, tip off, first pitch, or kickoff without some mention of a betting company in some way, shape, or form on a line in that game. See if you make it to the first of the game. If you watch any of the pregame show, I bet you see it there. And then it's going to be on immediately once the game starts. But you can't go any type of game anymore without seeing it. So that's kind of what then led me into this. So it isn't just that you can bet on a game, but you can bet on nearly every play of the game, right? This creates lots of opportunities for both the player to be convinced to have a play out a certain way, and some try to convince athletes to do it. So that's kind of this whole idea that we got into of doing the show. So betting goes way back in sports, right? I mean, it goes all the way back to 1876 when baseball first started. Before then, people would bet on anything. So it's not that the betting in and of itself hasn't been around. In 1937 is when Nevada legalized gambling and Las Vegas was established, and so that's where that all started. Then in 1992, the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act was passed, banning sports betting in most states and only allowing it in Nevada. In 2018, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that that was unconstitutional, and that opened up sports betting in all states, right? Today, gambling is legal in 38 states, and since 2018, $300 billion has been wagered on sports in the U.S. Yes, I will repeat that number for you. $300 billion has been wagered on sports in the U.S. Since 2018. It's just a crazy, crazy number. So, what are the dangers? Well, we've already talked about it. Players can be induced to throw certain parts of a game or an entire game. Kind of leads back into the Clase and Ortiz, where in 2024, if you recall correctly, Emmanuel Clase was running for a Cy Young Award as one of the best relief pitchers in the game. Then he stunk that year in the playoffs, and there is some stuff out there now that some of the pitches that he may have thrown off on purpose were in that playoff season. So we start kind of back to that circle. And then that also leads me right back to, of course, some of the older ones, right? You had Pete Rose, who famously everyone knows about that. Like, his whole situation where on, he bet on the Reds to win. And a lot of people say, well, that's not a big deal. He bet on his teams to win. But remember, at this time, betting was illegal. So he placed him with the bookie. So what is he telling the bookie when he doesn't bet on the Reds? So that's where I think it gets into. It's not like you bet on him 162 days, 162 games. So what was he telling the bookies when he didn't bet on the Reds? And that led to his lifetime ban, which has just recently been lifted, of course, after he's passed away. And I don't know that he ever really apologized properly for that, for lack of a better word. You have what I mentioned before, the Shohei Ohtani interpreter was found to bet with a bookie. Giuseppe Marciano was banned for life in 2024 for bets on baseball. Pat Hoberg, who was an umpire in baseball, was fired in February 2025 after he was found to bet. He did not bet on baseball games, but he was still found to bet, which was against their agreement, their umpires agreement, for lack of a better word. NBA has seen a lot of this. Jonte Porter was banned for life after he bet on league games. Malik Beasley was cleared but remains unsigned after allegations. Terry Rozier arrested for illegal sports betting schemes. And Chauncey Billups was arrested with the Mafia underground poker games. So there's lots of this going on in the NBA too. NFL has seen its share. Josh Shaw made prop bets and never played again after a year suspension. Calvin Ridley, of course, famous for his suspension, where he placed bets. not on football, but just in general. Isaiah Rogers, Rashad Berry missed all of 23 for bets on NFL games. Miles Austin was suspended indefinitely. Others have missed games for bets on non-NFL, NFL, and of course, the Detroit Lions had their share of those type of situations with Jameis Williams, Stanley Berryhill, Nicholas Petitfier, missed all 23 and haven't played since, or at least Thierry hasn't played since, found to bet on NFL games, and C.J. Moore and Demetrius Taylor were a couple other ones too. So again, NFL's had it. What's weird is the NHL has somehow avoided this. I don't really know why, but they've only had one player, Shane Pinto, who was suspended 41 games in 2023 for wagering on games, but not on the NHL. So I don't know if that means that the NHL is doing a better job on this than the other sports are, but I found that to be interesting. Then you get into the college side of this, right? And there's many more examples on the college side. Brad Bohannon fired in 2023 for betting on a college baseball game that he coached in. That's when he was coaching for Alabama. September 2025, 13 players from 6 schools were found to have bet in some way. That's still under investigation, but that was a big, another scandal. 3 Fresno State players were found to place bets in 2023 and 2024 and were immediately ruled ineligible. These are just some of the things that goes on, with it. So does online betting make this easier or does online betting make this harder? I think in some respects, right? Online betting makes it easier to find it when it happens, but I don't think it's going to be the cure all for keeping it from happening, where you have these large bets that are placed, that on bets that don't normally have a large amount of money placed on it. So is that what is online betting helping that or hurting it? It seems like it's not deferring any of it. People are still willing to risk it. Clase was and Luis Ortiz was. Luis Ortiz's whole defense is that Clase made him do it, which I'm not sure how that would be possible. So that's another part of this here too that is interesting to me as far as how that all goes. Then you get into the other side of this too, right? You have this abuse that these players are taking on social media for it. Let me just do this here real quick. I have to send Lee Ice is going to be coming in here, so I have to send him an invite to guest. So, so let me do this here. I'm going to do that while I do this here. So I'm going to actually use this right here so I can get Lee Ice in here correctly. Let me do this. I'm going to take a real quick break before we get into the view side of it. I'm going to send that to him, and then I'll be right back with you. You still gotta think about me. Want someone to hold. You can put me on airplane mode. You can put me on. You still gotta think about me. Want someone to hold. You can put me on airplane mode. You can put me on. All right. So, with that being said, let me continue on here, my little rant here, real quick. And of course, that was a little hit up for our show coming up on Tuesday night. The Tuesday Night Flight guys will be on here. I'm sure they'll get into a lot of the fun that's going on in the NBA and everything else right now. So, what else is going on with these players? Well, you got the other side of this, right? You got people that are really, really ticked off when their bets don't go. A missed field goal, a fumble, a made 3-pointer, a swing and a miss, goalies giving up a late goal. All these are things that have required, that were people that lose the bet. Sadly, take these players out on social media and threats. There have been some players that have been sent Venmo requests for money lost on a bet, along with a nice little, nastiness in it too. In a recent NCAA report, 1 in 3 star athletes have received some abuse or threats by bettors. 1 in 3 in college have received, threats by bettors. In the recent survey of pro teams, 78% of baseball players say legalized sporting betting has changed how fans treat them. That's a lot. 78% of players in the survey. believe that this is somehow, affects how fans treat them when they interact with fans. Goalies in the NHL are especially likely to receive threats after a goal given up. NFL and NBA players also confirmed that some type of harassment or threat is now expected. Players across all leagues believe this is from the prop bets, where folks are betting more on individual players than the team. Half of NBA players believe the league's gambling partnership creates a conflict of interest. That was in a poll of NBA players. So again, I'll repeat that one because I think that's a big one too. Half the NBA players believe the league's gambling partnerships creates a conflict of interest. That's a lot. Recently outed MLB PA union leader Tony Clark on a whole different thing. He actually called for the elimination of prop bets. The NFL has asked for a reduction of these bets, but instead they continue to grow. And that goes back to the beginning of this whole thing of pick a show, pick a TV, pick a game that you're watching. That's all you see are prop bets that you can place and 4 or 5 of them and how that do. So what can the players do? The league does do educating on gambling. 83% of the NFL players said that the league educates them well about gambling rules, but there's still some confusions on restrictions that are in flux. But the safest path they know is just avoiding it. MLB wants more. Their players union wants more, but they're trying to balance the value of betting markets and the athlete safety, integrity, and overall dynamics. So those are just some of the key things here that I think that do play into this for sure. So where do we go from here, right? So I did put out a series of polls questions, trying to get Lee Ice to join us here, but I'm having a little bit of fun trying to get this email sent to him. So let me do this if you guys do not mind. If you have comments on this, guys, throw something in the comments box. I'm happy to. I want this to be a little bit interactive too. So if you got, what are your thoughts on gambling and how it affects the sport? I'd love to hear and see your guys' thoughts on this. So sorry about the little behind the scenes delay here. I'm trying to get Lee Ice to join me, so we have the two Ice brothers join back together again. But let me see here if I can get them in here a different way. So give me here one quick second because I do want to share the polls that we put out there because I think some of the things in here are pretty interesting here too. So let me do this here real quick. Don't know if it's gonna let me send it this way. And you might see an Outlook pop up, but let's see. There we go. Leroy. All right, good. You're not seeing my screen come up, so that's good. So hopefully this goes through here, and then we can get him in here. All right, there we go. All right, that went through. Yay us. All right, so hopefully we'll get Lee Ice to join us here shortly here, and then we'll continue on with this here fun stuff. So what were our Facebook poll results? What did that show of what people think? And I think these are pretty interesting. The first one I asked was, have you placed a bet in the last 6 months? And I was kind of surprised with this. I thought there'd be way more that would have said yes, that they have placed a bet in the last 6 months. 63% said no. 37% said yes, they have. So I'll be honest, I was a little bit surprised by that. I really thought for sure that was going to be a bit higher of a number. Sarah says, going into mental health awareness, I believe some NFL players have been vocalizing concerns. Yeah, I agree. I think that is some stuff here for sure. So it's interesting to put that all into place here about how that goes here. Hold on here. We're still trying to get Lee Ice in there. CU in right studio. I think he's in the wrong studio. We have different studios for all the different shows. So you're getting like a little behind the scenes here while we try to work on getting him in here too. That's the fun when you just only got one of us here. Excuse me. All right. So that was, I thought was pretty interesting on that part of it as far as that. Then the second one that I asked, what is the amount that people bet? Now, I'll be honest, with those that have placed bets, I was surprised that 21% were at $100 or higher on a bet that they placed. I've not placed a bet on any of the online things. I'll partake in a Super Bowl swear. I'll partake in different stuff like that. But I was very surprised at this amount. So, and now I think we're getting him in here. So give me 1 second here until he shows, so I can see his little pretty face here pop up in the stage, and then we'll add him on the stage. Of where we think this is at with how much people bet, because I'll be curious to see what Lee Ice what he says. I know he's been betting again. So Sarah puts in here, NFL doesn't care about mental health awareness, so not sure about how they handle situations with betting threats. I don't disagree with that at all. But now, ladies and gentlemen, this is great to bring on Lee Ice onto my show, as I've been Lee has invited me onto his show quite a few times here recently, which I appreciate. So, Lee Ice, how you doing today, sir?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. My brother in Ice, how you doing? Give it to me.
Doing good, right there.
Yeah.
Of course, with
hmm
my screen, it doesn't always show up that well. So thanks for coming on, and I appreciate this because I think it's good having a little bit back and forth. So, I brought this one up. And I'll go back to the first one because you may not have seen it when we came in here. But have of everyone that took the polls, I was surprised that 63% of people said that they haven't bet on a game in the last 6 months. Now, if I remember correctly, you were telling me that you just kind of got back into the betting. Is that right?
Yeah. I took a long, long, long break off. The last football season was the first time I made a bet in 15 years, 2010. And
Wow.
that was and believe it or not, that was a hockey bet.
Okay.
So, when it first came out, that you go on your phone, I left it alone. I said, man, I don't want to get back into that. But they got so much stuff you can bet on now. So that's what drew me in. And if that poll said 63% said they haven't made a bet, I don't
Yeah.
believe that. I don't
I know.
believe
I was very surprised by that. Now the next question I put in there though, what is the amount that you have bet, and that those that have placed bets, I was surprised by this that 21% are betting $100 or higher. So when you do your bets, Lee, like how much are you betting on average a day or a game?
Well, when I was during the football season, I mainly only bet on props now, player props. Some reason I fell in love with that, you know. So I'm only doing honestly about $10 to $20, but I'm doing at least like a 10 to 12, sometimes 15 leg parlay. So a $10 bet can get you between five, 600 to almost $2,000, you know.
And for those that don't bet, like when you're talking about a 10 bet parlay, so that means you're betting on 10 individual prop bets and they all have to hit for you to
I'm
win.
I'm betting on 10 different players. Say like I'm bet for instance, say like if the Commanders are playing the Cowboys, let's say I'm betting both quarterbacks to pass for 200 yards. I'm betting both running backs will get 50 yards. I'm betting the two top receivers will get 50 yards. Stuff like that.
Okay. Showtime Sarah wants to know if you remember the hockey bet of what your hockey bet was that you placed.
No, I know I lost it.
Well, that will happen for sometimes. So yeah, so this one was interesting. I was surprised that there's so many people that bet high amounts. But it's
Yeah, if
everyone
they
has to.
betting like $100, they pretty much betting on a team, you know.
Yeah,
Like I might throw like if I feel very confident about a particular team, I might throw $100 on a team, but I got to be really, really
really.
sure. You know what I'm saying to bet that amount
Okay.
because those are the amounts that I used to bet back then. But see, back then, you didn't have all the stuff that you can bet now, and you can
Right.
only bet through, a guy that begins with the letter B. You bet through him. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely interesting for sure. So then the next question that I threw out there is, should athletes be allowed to bet? And this one I was a bit surprised. 53% said they should never be allowed to bet. 46% said yes, but not on their own sport. And one person said yes, they should just be allowed to bet on anything. I kind of feel like the easiest way to try to avoid all this is just simply say that they shouldn't be placing bets at all. That's my personal take on it. What are your thoughts on this particular question of the athletes themselves being allowed to place bets?
that's tricky, man. I'm on the fence with this because if I'm a football player, why can't I bet on basketball or baseball? But then, you know, if you know an athlete is betting, then how can you trust him not to bet on his own sport? So
Right. And I think that's my big problem is I have, yes, maybe it starts with them not betting on their sport, but then what happens, especially maybe whether doing it through a bookie or somebody like that and not doing it in online betting, and then they get behind with that bookie, and the bookie then turns to them and says, hey, you know what? You owe me this amount of money, but if you do this for me, we're good.
and
And I think that's real
that has
dangerous to me.
happened. You know,
Yeah.
quick story. Back in 1991, I knew a football player that played for the University of Maryland. He got caught up in that. hmm He got
Yep.
caught up making bets with a bookie, and he owed him so much that the bookie asked him to do a couple things on the football field. So
Yeah, and I think to me, even though with the online betting, it's maybe easier to see those like surges of something that happens, I still think it's a danger because people still place bets through bookies. Like that hasn't gone away,
right,
So, and I don't think though that that's ever going to go away because that you have different ones that, especially if you're an athlete that maybe wants to place a bet, but you don't want it to be known that you placed a bet, you're going to do it. You're not going to go online and do it through FanDuel because everyone can track that. You're going to go and you're going to do it through a bookie still. So bookies are still going to be out there, and I think that's my concern of athletes betting on that.
you don't think athletes should be allowed to bet?
I don't personally know. I think that would just be an easy way to just try to keep it under control. But how do you monitor it, right? And that's
That's
the other
I mean,
hard
how do
part
you
of that.
I mean, how do you can't control it. I mean,
No, well, I
all
mean,
they do is just go on somebody else's account and bet it there. You know,
yep, that's true. A heavy suspension might be what would have to help. I don't know if you go lifetime or not, but I wouldn't want to go that drastic depending on what you find out they did. But yeah, it is a difficult question of what do you allow and what do you not allow. So then my next question that we had was, should someone face, because the other side of this I brought into is the side of these athletes getting just destroyed on social media or PayPal requests or Venmo requests when they lose a bet for somebody. Should someone face criminal charges for a threat against an athlete? And I was pretty surprised by this one too, that everyone said yes, no matter the level of threat, that if you're going online and threatening somebody, threatening an athlete, that you should face some type of charges for it. And I was happy to see that.
yeah, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, they should. Most definitely should
Yep.
threaten athletes.
And there's
I
a
mean,
big difference between like going on your Facebook and saying "damn you," like during the Super Bowl when Kenneth Walker ran in that touchdown late in the fourth quarter, I was getting ready to be upset because I had I had the right square where it's going to win, but then he walks into the end zone, but then I see the yellow flag. Like I'll admit, like there's going to be a post that's going to go on Facebook saying "damn you, Kenneth Walker," but of course it was going to be a total joke. It wasn't going to be directed to him, but going on these people's social medias and doing direct attacks at them, especially when they're college kids, like that's just got to stop, I think.
yeah, but social media, man. I mean, it has its positive, but Lord have mercy, it has so many negatives too. I mean, there have been athletes this year where I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? You couldn't get me one more point, but
Right.
you know,
Yeah, and those are
I'm
good.
not gonna
Those are
threaten
those are good
nobody.
fun posts that you can do. Like
Yeah.
but yeah, but going after him personally, it's just something that's crazy. So the next one I brought up, and this was we talk about these, especially when we're dealing with college kids. Uh, are prop bets on college sports okay? And 13% said yes, 87% said no. So it kind of seems like most people would maybe think, okay, maybe the first step is let's get rid of the prop bets on college sports where we don't go after these college kids for missing like I remember what was one of the bigger football games towards the end of the year where a kicker missed a field goal and he got death threats from like everywhere. Like, so is the answer to get rid of prop bets in college sports?
I think it shouldn't be no prop bets in college. It's easier to get to it, to get to a kid. You know what I'm saying? Even they can get to a kid, and kids always check their phone. So check,
Yeah.
say a kid is having a bad game, and then at halftime he looks at his phone and somebody's threatening him. You better go out there, or you better not miss this kick, or you better not throw this interceptions. So
Yeah.
yeah, get rid of that.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that too. I think that would be another a good step to maybe take is to eliminate these prop bets in college sports at least. Once they're, in theory, once they make it to the pros, there's a little bit of training that goes on with that, and you got social media managers and different things like that that maybe can help people. But without that, I think for these college kids, especially if we care about their true well-being, I think that would be maybe a step that we can take that would maybe help some of this.
I think I hate saying this, but I think it's gonna get out of control. You know,
Yeah.
there's just so much money. It's gonna get out of
You
control.
know, that was
And
a The stat I threw out there earlier, $300 billion since 2018. Let's see what Sarah
It's a
say. If they don't,
lot of dough.
it is. If they don't get rid of it, at least create a system where athletes can report it and have action involved. Yeah, I would. That would be a good step too. So, and then the last question I asked was, just in general, are you concerned about gambling affecting sports? And 88% said that yes, they are, and 12% said no, that they're not. And I'm curious. I would love to know what some of the 12%, how they feel about it. But what's your thoughts on it, Lee? I says, has it better? Are you concerned about the effects that especially the
No,
online gambling can have on it?
online gambling or gambling in particular, because gambling been
Just
in sports has been in sports forever. So
correct.
this is just the modern day. So to say, am I concerned about it affecting it? No, it's already has. So it's just a new age. It's just a new way, like I said. But I am concerned that it might get out of control. That's like I just said. But gambling has been affecting sports forever. So
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know you how do you go back to, right? Like these companies are all making billions of dollars. They're all involved with all these sports. Some of these arenas now have, they're these online booking places right there in the arena. I don't know how we go back. I mean, I think I'm concerned, but I don't know how we correct course anymore.
I don't
Like that's
I don't think you can ever go back.
right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know that betting companies would allow it, and B, I don't know the teams could afford to go backwards now because they've made so much money from allowing this to happen, and the states are making money. Like it's a big money maker. Like how do you take that out of, and then if you do take away legalized online gambling, what then happens next? Because that money is still gonna get spent gambling. Do we go back to how it was where you got way more of these offshore betting sites that come back into play? Like I don't know that we can put this one back in the box, so to speak. It's already out there. So I guess the
It's
question
out
then
there.
becomes, how do we fix it, right? So Lee, guys, how would you try to fix your concerns over gambling and its effect on maybe athletes or sports?
That's a hell of a question, man. I don't know. It's too much money, out there to fix it. So I mean, like you said, you can't get rid of it. I mean, you can't even control it, really, if you really think about it. You can't control an athlete saying, or oh, I'm gonna make a bet. I'm gonna go call my buddy, or I'm gonna call my sister, my cousin, and just use their account.
Right.
It's 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 here and it's not going anywhere. No time
So
soon. That's for sure. No.
yep. So when
Mm.
you watch a sporting event, are you concerned about like you see just a complete terrible, like I'll use uh Emmanuel Clase has the prime example, like the video that they show of those 18 first pitch balls that are way, way, way out of the strike zone for a guy that is known for his accuracy. Like when you start seeing maybe a pitch like that, like are you already starting to wonder, uh-oh, like is this something? Or are you able to just watch the sporting event free and clear and not really think
I
about it
would
at that point in time?
I would I would say 99% of the time I can watch a game and not think about that. But if I wager on something, I'm thinking, "Hmm, this is but that's only because you're losing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You will only think that if you're losing. But it's a lot of coincidence, for you not to think that something fishy going on here.
Going on. Right.
It happens too many times. But
Agree.
like I said, 99% of the time I watch a game, I don't what either baseball, football, basketball, whatever it is, I'm thinking, I'm not thinking about it being fixed. So
That's good. And I'm not at that point yet either. Like I don't think I've watched a game where I'm like, oh, other than other than maybe the occasional Kansas City Chiefs game when it seems like Pat Mahomes would always get that holding call, right? That
right,
or the pass interference or some call that he was crying about. But I guess even back in the day, the good quarterbacks will always be able to do that. And I think that was more joking on my end than anything of, oh, here he goes. He gets here's the Kansas City Chiefs getting
Yep.
another call,
Yep.
right?
Here come the
But
flag. Yep. There it is. See, I told you.
I see a couple more comments. Showtime sports YouTubers even advertise betting apps, so it creates a domino effect. I agree. Midnight Rider checking in. Every pregame show has some sort of prop bet segment. Yeah, you're right. I mentioned that at the beginning about like you can't go like try to go a game and you'll pick your sport and see if you can make it through the first commercial break without some type of a prop bet scheme segment or something like that that and you can't. They all have them.
They all have them, man. They all have them.
All
It's
right,
like
so
for
go
instance,
ahead.
like Draymond Green, I had him getting 5 points the other night, and he didn't score 1 point. I'm like, bro,
But
you making 30 million a year, you can't get me
you
5 points?
you can't get 5 points. But again, I think it shows what these bet folks, they know the lines. It seems like, don't they, to put out there to entice a bet, but feel pretty good that they're not going to hit to take the money.
Yep. It's it's not going nowhere, brother Ice.
Nope, I agree with you for sure. So, um, any other comments you want to throw on the gambling side of things before we wrap this show up? Because we are hitting at 6 o'clock, and we're supposed to be done in an hour. So,
No, I mean, I just hope it's not anything going on because I want to watch the sports that I choose to watch and watch it with a free mind, knowing, hey, there's nothing going on. It's been like that since I was a kid. So of course I might joke around, say, man, look at but
right.
you know, I just don't
I
want
think
any. I want to be able to watch sports and enjoy it and not think that there's something going on.
I agree, and that's how I want to do that too. And I think the only way that that can happen is when these situations do come up, like the punishment's got to be severe, like because
Right.
you got to show the players that, hey, this is gonna have a severe tag if you're caught doing it. Like I think that's the only way that we can have that is if when it does happen, the leagues just have to continue to come out with very harsh punishments once. And now it should go through the legal process, right? Like they need to be found guilty of it. It can't just be an accusation. Like that it's got to go through whatever legal process and they're found guilty. But then once they're found guilty, like that's it. Like for example, like once Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz are found guilty, which I think is going to happen based on the evidence that I've seen and read, like they got to be banned for life. Like you can't
Yeah.
put those two
It
back
got to
in
be a
the
very harsh punishment.
yep.
So players to know, don't go down that road.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree completely. So let's do this here real quick. Here we kind of already did the what does it all mean part of it. So our next show on Drive Time is going to be this coming Friday. We're going to have a special show on the NHL trade deadline. We're going to see who gets moved where. Our next regular show will be on March 9th. We'll start finalizing the trade deadline as far as what deals we thought that we liked and look into NFL free agency because that starts the next week. Our baseball preview show is going to be on March 23rd at 8 p.m. And then the second annual People's Mock Draft will be on Monday, April 20th. We'll get that starting to get that put together where people make their picks for the teams. And Lee, I said you got the funny part is though for you, all you Commanders fans, I got to have you guys fight for who picks the Commanders picks this year. So, but then we can let you pick for a couple other teams too if you want. So, of course, we talk about this all the time. You can watch the shows on YouTube and Facebook, and of course X now as well. And you can listen the next day on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pocket Cast, Podyssey, Castbox. I don't think we're on Odyssey anymore. I forgot to change that. And then here's just a few of our great shows on here. I think that the gentleman Lee Ice knows this one show, Unapologetic Sports, right? That's the name of it.
Yeah, that looks familiar.
Go ahead, give your show a little plug, Lee. Go ahead.
Hey, every Tuesday, y'all, 6:30, Tuesday night, 6:30 on the Sideline Junkie Podcast Network. Your boy Lee Ice and my fine Brian partner, we host the Unapologetic Sports. I promise you tune in, you will have some fun. Ask my brother Ice right there. Unapologetic Sports every Tuesday, 6:30.
Absolutely. I've been on a couple times. It is a great show. They go through a lot of fun stuff. I think what the last show you guys did, the top 10 quarterbacks of all time, that created a nice little bit of controversy.
Oh man.
It was good
We
stuff.
gotta have a part 2 for that.
Yeah, you do for sure because it was good for sure. So, but it's definitely good stuff. It is a fun show. I loved my time being on there for sure. what did Ben put on here? Randall Cunningham at 9, just to have a little bit of fun with that for sure. So that is good stuff. So yeah,
Also, y'all, I'm sorry, man. Also, your boy Matty Ice, every now and then, he has a segment on Unapologetic called Puck You. How
that's right.
about that?
It was. We just did that. We wrapped up the Olympics on there. It's definitely a good time for sure. So, all
Yes,
right.
sir.
Well, Leas, I appreciate you coming on. I'll do let's do one last little fist bump there one more time here. So,
There you go.
um,
My brother in Ice, y'all. The smooth
that's right.
operator himself.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. So, all right, everyone. We will see you guys next week coming up here, 7 o'clock, Pretenders and Contenders. They'll be on here in about an hour or so. And then we have Unapologetic Sports tomorrow. And then we also have Tuesday Night Flight tomorrow night. So, until then, everyone, we will see you all later.